What is your opinion on eating breakfast food for dinner? Hey, if it works for you, great. Like I've done it many times. I have this thing for pancakes. All right, everybody, welcome to the show. Glad you're here. For all those of you on TikTok, if you've not joined good Lord, I can't even speak tonight. Potentialzonegroup.com. Get over there, and everybody that's over here, go check me out on TikTok because I put a lot of exclusive content on TikTok. And so I want to make sure that you get everything covered because I go live a couple times a day on TikTok. I love the community. Everybody on TikTok's amazing. In fact, if everybody could share this video, that would be great. I just got a video. Somebody sent me a video. Okay, let me get grounded here for a moment. I want to share everybody what happened to my hair. Isn't it obvious? It fell out. It's off. It fell out because I think too much. That's why it jumped out of my head. It said it's too tense in this area, right? So I just had somebody. In fact, she just jumped on, and I want to say this to everybody because this is some of the conversations I've had with some clients today. What is your greatest investment in your life? What is the greatest investment in your life? Right? And it's super important to understand this because where our attention goes, energy flows. But see, most people don't understand what it means to take control of actually where they put their focus, right? What is the greatest investment of your life, right? Greatest investment of your life, of every single second of your life, right? And we have created these movies. Gosh, you guys are all funny. Like it never nobody's seen a bald guy before? Like it's funny. I'm being called Howie. I'm being called all these different things. What happened to your hair? Like it just amazes me. So being able to really look at what have you invested in all your life? Like every single second of your life has been invested into this one thing, and we don't even recognize the value of that, right? So my mission is to do every single thing I can to get people to recognize their extraordinary opportunity in being able to create their own economic freedom using their story, right? But what happens is people judge their story, and because they judge it, they don't recognize the value of it, right? Like everybody wants to have financial freedom. Well, really, really what everybody wants, this is what everybody wants. They want peace. They want peace, right? Conquering addictions and finding myself. Yes, Angelia, that is freedom right there, right? Like we've all overcome. How in the world do we share while we are all here in here? Well, on TikTok is what I was referring to. Well, it depends what group you're in because it depends what group you're in, what video you're seeing this on. Like I think in the Potential Zone group, you can share the video. So I appreciate you asking that question. Is being able to really own experiences that you've had. So one of the things that I did, and if you haven't joined the ROI Accelerator Challenge, the link's in my bio. Highly, highly, highly recommend that you join this because there is literally miracles happening over there. And what I mean by that is, so what is a miracle for you? Well, okay, what if you didn't have your kids, right? So what's important to you about investing into your kids, right? Because this is one of the things that I see a lot of people saying, and there's no value judgment in any of that, because what happens is when like if your kids go, like what is the meaning of your life then, right? Is understanding that our greatest investment, we invest into things and we don't even realize what we're investing into. Right. So in the challenge that I put together is that I want people to look at how do you hold your past? How do you hold your past? Because how you hold your past is going to have a massive impact in how you share it with somebody. Right. And this whole conversation started out. So this is my book. This is my international. This is one of like 3 books that I've written. This is an international bestseller. I've got 2 that are international bestsellers. I'm not saying that this isn't to impress you. It's to impress upon you what you can do with your story. Like the first chapter in this book is called The Great Awakening. This is when I almost ended my sister's life and my own life in a drunk driving accident, right? Like that's what started this catalyst for me to be who I am today. right? And a lot of people don't recognize the things that you have gone through is actually somebody else's inspiration, right? Yes, absolutely, Kim. And so this is so important. It's so important is because how you hold your past is going to determine your future. How you hold your past is going to determine your future. Right now, me almost ending my sister's life was like, I'm telling you, friends, like when they came in and they said, "Do you know what happened?" I had no idea what had happened. All I knew, I was in an incredible amount of pain. I'd fractured my neck. I'd compound fractured my finger in 2 places. And then she tells me that my sister is across the street fighting for her life. I had no idea what had happened. I mean, it took me, like, the cop came in a couple days later and said, "Hey, what, do you know who was driving?" Had no idea who was driving. They had beer cans all over, all that stuff. And then he came back like 3 days later and said, "Well, I talked to everybody and apparently you were driving." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I had no idea what had happened, right? And it took me a long time for me to be able to look at how that was created, because the shame wouldn't allow me to look at actually what I had done. Like, how do you look at, I almost ended my sister's life? Like, that is heavy, right? And I couldn't even comprehend that I had that I had created that, right? But what it did is it put me on this mission to get into transformation. Like, it took me another 4.5 years for me to get completely sober. But when I did, completely clean, I didn't drink for 4.5 years, but had another experience where I ended up starting drinking again. But what I did is I made a decision that I wanted a better quality of life. Right. So because I made that decision and I valued that, like, my life depended on it. Right. Transformation. This is what transformation is you, in order for you to grow, you are literally transforming who you were into who you get to be, right? And how we hold our past is going to have a massive impact on everything that we're going to create in our future. Like, I just ended up buying me my hot rod, like a dream car. I didn't even realize how much I was going to enjoy this car until after I got it. It's like, man, this is like, I love this car, right? But somebody asked me a question: is what is it? What in your life motivated you that you no longer have? I got thinking about it. I was like, well, my Trans Am. Like, I had a Trans Am when I was 18 years old. But see, because of what I did to my sister in that car accident, I never felt, I believed that I was worthy of having a hot rod again. But see, someone proposed that question to me, and I was like, cars set my soul on fire. Like, I love driving. I love cars. I love hot rods, right? And so I ended up getting this car in this Audi and test drove it and was like, wow, this is kind of cool. And then I had another one ordered in and got it. And then I bought it and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I love this car because it brings out something in me that makes me feel alive. Right? Like, every time I get in that car and I start it, there's just something inside of me that just gets ignited, and I just love it. So every day I go for my walk and do my thing, right? But see, the guilt of what I had done to my sister. Now, I've been working on this for 3 decades, and see, I wouldn't allow myself to go like, how can I deserve something that I really want that was the catalyst to almost ending my sister's life? Right? Because it's how I held that experience. Like, I'm not that person anymore. Like, I'm not the person that drove a car down into a ditch, hit an intersection at 85 miles an hour, flew 85 feet, flipped end over end, and rolled. I'm not that person anymore. Right? Because the reason guilt, and yes, guilt is a big word, it actually is shame. Because if we don't know how to transform that, then this is what's going to control our lives. This is what's going to determine what risks we take, right? Like, I see all kinds of people on social media talking about not getting into relationships or being on dating sites and things like that. But see, the thing that they're missing that's so amazing is that all of it's an experience. But see, this is what's so incredible. We are the narrator of the experience. We're the narrator of the experience. And if we've had things in the past where we have had a humiliation, we're going to do everything we can not to re-experience that again, and not understanding that we just keep recreating the past, right? I've been divorced twice. I've filed bankruptcy. I've ran businesses into the ground. I've hurt more people than I even care to remember, right? Like I almost ended my life. I almost ended my sister's life. I've wrecked I don't know how many cars and motorcycles. I've lost my license 4 times. Like I have been through the gamma of doing, like, screwing up a person's life to the level that anybody could screw it up. The reason I did is because of how wounded I was inside, right? And understanding that our behavior is literally showing up to protect our inner world, right? Well, and what if they don't relate to the crazy life? So somebody put on there, what has held me back is I think people will not relate to the crazy life I've lived. Well, I lived a pretty crazy life, right? And see, again, what we do is we're going to project onto other people what we believe about our own experience. And that's what we're really afraid of, right? We think people are going to see in us how we see ourselves, right? Like how we see ourselves is what determines how we show up in this world, right? And when I wrote this book, so this is what I want to share with you. When I wrote this book, like I said, my intention is to get everybody to recognize, like my grandmother died. When my grandmother died, and my grandmother was like my second mom to me. When she passed, she'd always said many, many, many times, I wanted to write a book. Like my grandfather was a World War II hero, stuff like that. And she always wanted to write a book. Well, guess what? She died. She passed away. And she never wrote that book. Right. And then like that just broke my heart because I know there's a lot of things that my grandma wanted to share that she wasn't able to share because some of the people that judged her. Right. And so when it came time for me, like I got introduced to this idea, like there's a long story behind all this. But when I got into this idea of me being a full-time coach, like that was a concept. Like I'd already been coaching like 15 years before I like, wow, I've been doing this a long time. And went on down this road. And what inspired me to have the conversation that I'm having tonight is somebody on TikTok actually purchased my book and they did a video of purchasing my book. And I was just like, wow, see, this is a legacy move. This is me leaving behind a voice that will go on forever, right? And what's important about that is what is the meaning of your life? Like, why are we here? Like somebody put the biggest investment you'll make in your whole life throughout your whole life is myself. Absolutely. Absolutely. Are there any married chicks in here? Lots of them. So what I want everybody to get, why are you here? Why are you doing this thing called life? What is the meaning that you want to have it at the end of your life? See, because friends, I'm going to share with you the most powerful resource in the world. I'm going to show not the most powerful resource in the world, but it is the most powerful resource in the sense of where all the greatest dreams are, where all the greatest inventions, where all the greatest relationships, where all the greatest inventions, greatest patents, greatest songs, greatest movies, greatest books. I'm going to tell you where it's at. I'm going to tell you where it's at because every single town has one. It's called a cemetery. It's called a cemetery. Right? And when people pass, this is scientifically proven over and over and over and over. When people pass, their regrets are not what they did. Their regrets are what they didn't do. I didn't love enough. I didn't ask enough questions. And see, when I see funerals, the part that I get sad about is not so much the person that's in the coffin because that person got out, right? Like they get to go to heaven. Like that's cool, right? The thing that I get sad about is all the people that get up and talk about how amazing this person was. And I went, did you ever tell that person that while they were alive? See, friends, understand there's going to be a day when you will no longer see your pet. There will be a day when you will not see your friend anymore. There will be a day when you will not see your child anymore, or your friend, or your partner, or whatever. Right? Like this too shall pass. Right? Like when I really got both sides of that statement, it just opened up my eyes to a lot of things. Right? So transformation, move, formation, right? Like this is one of the greatest things that we get to step into is that you get the opportunity to narrate every single experience that you've had from this point forward. Like you can read all the books, you can go to all the seminars, you can get all the coaching, all that stuff, which is all awesome, right? But at the end of the day, you are the one that's living out the experience. Right? Like you can change. There's 3 ways to do transformation. One is cognitively, right? Like you can change how you think about what you think about. right? The other one is doing unconscious and subconscious work, which is what I do with my clients. And then the third is through experience, right? So there's lots of quotes out there: face what you fear, do what you fear, and death of that fear is certain. Right? Like our greatest desire is also our greatest fear, right? We can't have courage without fear, right? So what is it in your life that's being called forward that's asking you to step into what wants to be? Do I believe in God? No, I know God. I know God. I don't believe in something I know. I know God, right? And it's a great question. And I mean no disrespect to that, but it's understanding like that's a major distinction. Do you believe or do you know? That's up to you. That's up to you. God is ultimate creator to me, right? What is God to you, right? And understanding that, because see, it's understanding that how do I narrate these experiences? How do I narrate these experiences? And why do I hang on to things that cause me suffering? Why do I hang on to things that cause me suffering? Because it validates a bias that we have about ourselves. Who said that you are unworthy? Who said that you're not enough? Who said that you're not ever going to amount to anything? Who said you're not lovable? Who said you're not valuable? And looking at where those came from, right? And this is what I'm like the challenge that I'm having people go through. The links in my bio, like go check it out, like ROI Accelerator Challenge. This is what I'm showing people how to step into their greatness, right? Yeah, fear is a great catalyst to get you to go through courage, right? Somebody put fear is great. Fear drives you to push, and fear pushes civilizations to evolve. Absolutely, right? And fear is a primal survival skill, right? So it's all in how. What if nobody said it? Well, that's a great question, because see how much of our life was in development. Like 75% of what we know in our entire life was by the age of 5. 75% of what we access and know in our life was by the age of 5. So how much of the age of 5 did you know how to articulate things effectively? So that means that most of the things that we experienced in our imprint years and our developmental years was our intuition, was the energy, right? And so you start getting into that part of it. It's just like, oh my gosh, congratulations, someone's getting married in 2 days. Congratulations, brother. Good for you. So that's us learning, imprinting into the program. See, as a child, everything we take on, our subconscious takes everything personally, right? And 0 to 2 is purely subconscious that's going on, right? And then around 2 to 4 to 5 in there, our conscious starts coming on the scene, right? A little bit, right? But then when we start getting into the like 10, 11, 12 is when our critical faculty starts developing, right? So understanding that it's my favorite quote. It's my favorite quote. If you do not make your own conscious, it will control your life and you will call it fate. No, I have not. Why? I would be, oops, let me shut that off. Hang on a second, everybody. Like, I don't know what just happened here. There we go. Let me take a screenshot of that. No, I'm not familiar with that. I would love to hear what you, why that inspired you to put that up. Dolores' Canon. Have not heard of that. So you've spent every moment of your life living your life. What keeps you from recognizing all the value that it has to offer other people? What keeps you from that? Helen is in the house. Everybody, you need to follow Helen. Like, there's a lot of amazing people in here that I would love for everybody to go follow. What is it that keeps you from sharing the things that you have gone through? Like, you are capable of doing extraordinary things. You've already done extraordinary things, right? It's just how you hold those experiences that's keeping you from stepping into your greatness, right? Like one of my missions, like my dad always used to tell me, right? My dad always used to tell me this, and it's one of the things that I really, really have taken on that has supported me in so many ways. And that is, when you borrow something, you always return it better than when you got it. Like, he has just hammered that in me, right? And I take that literally. So when I leave this earth, I want to do everything I can to leave the earth better than when I got here, right? And there's a lot of work to be done, right? Like, darkness is having a heyday right now, because a lot of people do not want to take responsibility for their own lives. So if you don't want to take responsibility for your life, you are very vulnerable to somebody that understands seduction and going to convince you to believe in lies that separate and divide us. It just is what it is, right? So understanding, let me ask everybody a question. What is the thing in your life that is holding you back? What is the thing, what is the story that's in your life that's holding you back? And the more you face it, the more you get real about that, the more opportunity you have to transcending that. Right? But see, we've had these things happen in our lives, right? Like, how do you hold the relationships that didn't turn out the way you wanted them to turn out? What if you looked at that and said, wow, what was I supposed to learn from that? Right? And see, we keep playing over these narrations that we have created about experiences in our life that keep us playing at the level that we've been playing at. What determines the weight, the time it's going to take for you to create what it is that you want to create in your life is going to be a reflection of what you hang on to. Right? Thanks, Helen. I appreciate you putting that out there. Yeah, because how you see you is how you believe everybody else is going to see you. Right? And true humbleness, what true humbleness means, because there's people out there, like, again, the reason people fight, this is why people fight. I'm going to give you the truth bomb here. The reason people fight, it's not people that fight. It's actually levels of understanding that fight. It's their internal programs that fight, right? An insecure person is always going to see a confident person as arrogant, because the insecure person has to make sense of how they see the reality that's a reflection of who they are. Right? And so this is what transformation is all about. I made a decision that I want a better quality of life because I was tired. I was tired. I was beyond sick and tired of being tired. I was done. Right? And I made a decision. And when you understand what determines the decisions that we make, what determines the decisions that we make? Like what I'm going to share with you right here this is a writer downer. I would tattoo this on the inside of your eyes. What determines every single decision you make is a reflection of what you truly value, whether you're conscious of it or not. Right? So it's getting really clear on what it is that you value. Like I just had a conversation with somebody just before I dropped on here that she was working through something with somebody else and she couldn't understand why she was having such a like she was getting so emotional about it. And the reason she was getting emotional about it was because her values were being violated. Right. And see, we have this happen all the time, but if we don't know what we value, then we don't even know what's being violated inside of us. And the reason relationships don't work is because of misaligned values. Right. Like this is something I'm super excited. I'm going to be teaching everybody this in about 4 or 5 weeks within the ROI Accelerator Challenge. I'm going to be teaching them how to elicit your values at a deep level in the different domains of your life. Right. Once you know what you value, then you have clarity. Once you have clarity, then you're going to know where to put your life force, which is your focus. Friends, understand the most valuable commodity right now is your attention. The most valuable commodity out there is your attention. Right? Like this book right here. You want to get your head blown off and understanding? Read this book. This is a powerful, powerful neuromarketing. Consumer engineering is real. It's real, right? And understand that every single second of TV is designed. It's tell a vision. Tell a vision. Like I put a video up and I've got to get back and respond to some of the people that put comments on there. But it's around effective seduction is not recognized, right? And darkness uses seduction to keep people asleep. Effective seduction is not recognized. So if I were you, friends, I would do everything you could to understand how seduction works. Like there is a book called Laws of Seduction, right? By Robert Greene. It's a great book. Laws of Mastery is another book that he wrote. Laws of Power is another book he wrote. Like Robert Greene, his stuff is amazing, right? So, and why have I been so diligent? Gemma, oh my gosh. Gemma, it is so great to see you. It is so great to see you. She is an amazing woman. You need to go check out Gemma. She's an amazing coach. She and I actually got our training together, our NLP and all that stuff together a while back. And it's good to see you. So looking at this is what my mission has been, is because I didn't know how to communicate in an effective way. I didn't know how to articulate my thoughts in an effective way, right? And I was afraid of arguments. And when I showed up, like, you did not want to be around me when I showed up, because I just didn't know how to relate to things. And I was raised in an environment where it was pretty crazy, right? Like, the only way we dealt with things in my family was just beat the hell out of somebody, right? Like, that's just how you dealt with it. And so I started figuring out that that doesn't work very well. That doesn't work very well, right? So I made it this mission of me to overcome some of my inadequacies. Like, one of them was I felt like I was an idiot, right? All kinds of evidence that proved otherwise. But when you keep hearing you got crap for brains and you're not ever going to amount to anything and you're a worthless piece of garbage and all that stuff, you just start taking that stuff on and start believing it, right? So now I've learned lots of things and yada, yada, right? But it's me learning to choose what it is that I want to create. So I have a question for every one of you. What do you want to create? What do you want to create in your life? Tina, it is good to see you. Thank you for being here from Florida. How is Florida this evening? Right? Because it's super important, right? If we don't get intentional about what we are going to create, we're going to automatically keep creating what we have been creating, right? And then once you get clear on what it is that you want to create, then you start getting intentional. What do I get to be to create that, right? So these are great questions, because as you are, so it is, right? Like, as you are going to create the life that is a reflection of who you are, right? If you want the relationship, if you want the finances, if you want the job, if you want the freedom, if you want the health, if you want to make an impact, if whatever it is, like, just allow yourself to go there and look at what is it that keeps you from stepping into that, right? So I'm going to take off, everybody. I appreciate you all being here. You're all amazing. I love spending time with each and every one of you. If there's anything I can do to support your journey, please let me know. Please let me know. Okay, that is a great question. What is it that keeps you in that? What is it that keeps you in that marriage? Right? And this has been some of the things. So being separated from our tribe is one of our greatest fears. Just understand that, right? And a lot of people say, well, I'm not concerned about what other people think. Okay, cool. Well, then how is that impacting your life? Because there are relationships that I was involved with that I stayed in longer than whatever. It was just part of the journey. But some of it was because of the fear. It was my fear of what other people are going to think, right? Fear of what? What are you afraid of, Tina? I appreciate you being so vulnerable and putting that out there. That's awesome. So our question is, what if you've been married to somebody 30 years, but no intimacy in the last 15 years, right? Here's the other question is, how did that get created, right? And again, it's not about blame. See, when we're in guilt and shame, when somebody asks us questions that make us go inside, the first place that we want to go is we want to avoid humiliation. And so we start feeling guilty for the questions that's being asked, when the question is literally being asked for you to discover things that you may not be aware of. Fear of not being able to make it on your own. Okay. Well, is that true? Right? See, and Tina, thank you so much for sharing this, because this is so important, is that so many people will stay in a relationship because they don't know how to be on their own, right? So they take the suffering of being in a relationship that's incongruent and unaligned with who they are, because the fear of being on their own is more painful than staying in the relationship that they're in, right? And so what if your higher self is giving you intuitional bumps, right? And like our higher self does this all the time, if we have the intuition to understand it, and if we don't pay attention to it, our higher self is eventually going to use effort. And when our higher self uses effort, it levels the playing field. Like last year for me, my life was nuked. Like every area of my life was blown up last year, right? It was painful. It was painful. Like I went through hell last year, right? But what it was doing was it was clearing the field so that I could become who I am today. Like lots of relationships got taken away, finances, my dog, business opportunities, like lots of things got cleared out last year, right? All preparing me to be who I am today, right? And I still got stuff that I'm working through, right? So fear of making it on your own, what would it take for you to make it on your own, right? And sometimes, like here's the amazing thing, because if you're not having intimacy, well, where are they at, right? Where are they at? Great. Okay, I'm going to drop a truth bomb here that is going to support a lot of people. Okay, I'm going to share a book with me. It's not actually a book. It's actually a course that is on Audible. Okay, this is the one that I recommend to all of my clients. Okay, if you are serious about transformation and you really want to see how your higher self speaks to you, and understanding that you have intuitional bumps all the time, is there's two different books. They're not books, they're audio courses. It is Advanced Energy Anatomy by Carolyn Myss. Advanced Energy Anatomy by Carolyn Myss. There's another course that she did. It's called Energy Anatomy. I want you to get Advanced Energy Anatomy. Study the course. Listen to it probably 10 times, and I'll probably listen to it another 30 times. It is deep. It is powerful because, see, and I'm glad you said this, because this is one of the things that a lot of people will do. They will use gratitude and turn it into compromise. Like, I need to be grateful that this person provided me and blah, 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 all this stuff, right? But what they do is they end up compromising who they are, because they use gratitude to justify compromising who they are rather than standing in who they truly want to be and what it is that they truly want to create, right? As I am, so it is. As I am, so it is. And so what is it that you really want to create in your life? We are conductors of energy. Absolutely. Tina, I would recommend that you sign up for that's in my link, ROIAcceleratorChallenge.com. This will support you immensely on so many levels. Not only will it get you in touch with how powerful you really are, but it also is going to teach you ways that you can create your own economy, right? Like, on so many levels. Like, this is what I do. Like, I get a hold of people. I do, in a way, right? But I get people to see how extraordinary they really are, get them super clear on what they want to create so that they can give their focus to a singular thing rather than being confused and draining themselves because they don't know what to hang on to. Right. And the other thing is, get a copy of my book. Like, this is a great book. There's an amazing takeaways in there. So I'm going to take off, everybody. I appreciate all of you being here. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. I super appreciate it. It's nice to meet you. If there's anything that I can do in the future, please let me know. I'm here to support each and every one of you. And thank you. Thank you all. Yeah, Tina, there's a number of people in here that are watching this that are a part of it. The challenge, and it's transforming their lives. And I'm really, really excited to see what's going to happen in the near future with everybody. So much love, everybody. Have a blessed evening. And I will see you probably tomorrow on TikTok. If you're not following me on TikTok, everybody go follow me on TikTok. If you're also not a part of the Potential Zone Group.com. Yes, Karen, this is my book. This is my international best-selling book, one of them. Right. So yeah, go check it out. The Map to Your Fullest Potential. Amazing book. Lots of amazing things are happening. Namaste, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Tina, again, for being so vulnerable. I appreciate that. It takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable. And apparently your higher self is wanting to make some things happen. Mike, good to see you, buddy. Thank you so much for being here. Peace out, everybody. Have a great night. Much love.